Time to look ahead to the second one-day international between India and Australia that's set to be played on Tuesday in Nagpur. A 1-0 lead after MS Dhoni and Kedar Jadhav saw things home in Hyderabad. Australia looking to bounce back. India looking for a 2-0 lead. Plenty of players that should be looked at to see if they can continue staking a claim for World Cup places. From either side, Hemang, Badani and Hodge with me on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday to look ahead to it. Let's start with you, Hemang. Nice little workout for the middle order, which we know is in many ways India's soft belly going into that World Cup. What are the expectations ahead of this one? Would you still like to restart your campaign for resting frontline players and trying the guys that you want to see get game time ahead of the World Cup squad announcement?
Well, I've been harping on it for a bit now. I've been saying the same for a while now. I don't seem to think that management thinks on the similar lines. But yes, given a choice, I would get Rohit Sharma to get a break. Shikhar needs a run because he hasn't been getting runs of late. And I would also, again, re-emphasize that Dhoni can be rested. Dhoni can be given a break. India hasn't still found the second keeper. We still are searching. Will it be Pant? Will it be Dinesh Karthik? And unless you make a punt play, you're never going to know. So I would say bring Pant in, give Dhoni a break. He's been batting beautifully. He's got about 450s in 2019, another 50 last game. Give the man a break.
All right, fair enough. Good way to start. Before I go to Hodge, I'm going to actually throw up the Nagpur stats because it tells an interesting story when it comes to not just the fact that India are unbeaten there against Australia 3 out of 3, but if you just look at the average numbers at Nagpur, Hodge, you might remember it's actually batting paradise. Lots of big scores, 300 pluses. Do Australia have the same power game in ODI cricket that we saw them produce in the T20s? Because you look at that batting lineup and I'm a little skeptical to think whether they can keep making India chase over 300, which would be a real test.
Well, look, we posted some good totals in Australia out here. We got up around 270, 280, and it proved to be not enough in the end. And look, unfortunately, we're going to have to make 300s. That's the only way to test this great Indian lineup. It's stacked full of superstars with great strike rates, great averages, and our team's still searching for that recipe that works. We saw Glenn Maxwell move from number 7 where he batted in Australia up to number 5, and I think that Justin Langer is just trying to wrestle around with this right formula to try and get some success. It's going to be tough going. That's not a great record in Nagpur by any stretch of the imagination. I remember it spinning a little bit, but it's just been an absolute batting paradise most of the time.
Yeah, there are numbers that will actually back you up on that. We know that there have been very high scores in Nagpur and ODI, so whatever pitch they produce for Test cricket, which turns or T20 cricket, fact remains that it's been happy hunting, especially for chasing teams at the VCA Stadium. But at a ground where you tend to have numbers in favour of the batsmen, sometimes it's the bowlers that tend to win you the game. So let's focus on our first talking point, which is Mohammad Shami's resurgence in one-day cricket. Let's just have a quick look at some numbers for Mohammad Shami too. In 2019, an average of 20. He's actually always had a very good average, Hemang. Some might say unfairly found his way out of the ODI team. But this is a new, confident, refurbished version of Mohammad Shami that's now, I think, left little doubt in the fact that he's going to be India's number 3, maybe even number 2 seamer going into the World Cup.
Oh, I think at this point in time, he's India's number 2 seamer. I wouldn't say he's a number 3 seamer. I'll be the first one to accept that I have been a Mohammad Shami critic in the past. I've always believed that he was someone who had the potential, but who was someone who hasn't lived up to his potential and his talent. But in recent times, those numbers suggest that he's done exceedingly well. And to me, it's just not about those numbers. It's the way he's gone about bowling, the lines that he's been bowling, consistently creating pressure on the batsman. Even the way he bowled to Maxwell the last game was absolutely spot on. For me, the second choice seamer for India right now is Mohammad Shami. I'm a big fan of Bhuvi, but I think Shami is past him at the moment.
Yeah, and let's spend a little more time on it because that's the challenge for an out-of-form Aaron Finch, Hodge, isn't it? Is one thing that he's struggling with Bumrah, and we've seen that through the course of the 2020 series and now. But Mohammad Shami's got similar abilities, get the ball back in. How do Australia tackle what seems to be a very informed new ball pair for India?
Look, it's amazing. I got to take my hat off to Mohammad Shami. I saw him operate throughout the Test series, and I thought that he was remarkable. And on the flip side of that, Australia chose to rest all their Test superstars from our one-day lineup, and Mohammad Shami just kept going, and he kept pouring in with a lion-hearted effort for his country. And I think that it's paid dividends. One of the things which Virat Kohli mentioned is the stamina in which he possesses, and the big engine which he's got, and it's just showing. It's a real quality performance. And you see that economy rate. That's probably the most important thing. You know he's got a good strike rate. He's got a good bumper, good Yorker, but just that economy rate. You don't see him bowling many bad balls at all. And especially challenging the stumps of the Australian batsmen is just the relentless pressure between him and Bumrah.
Yeah, I mean, the economy rate is very good in the power play. We'll show you numbers in the power play. And Mohammad Shami, in spite of not having played as much as perhaps some other names that you'll see on this list, finds himself at number 2, only after Mujibur Rahman, who does a lot of opening with the bowling, with the new ball for Afghanistan. But Mohammad Shami at an average of 17, an economy of under 4. So that's the work cut out for Usman Khawaja. And like I said, an out of form Aaron Finch. The supporting cast for India's pacers is where we move our attention next. Let's move to India's spinners and just have a look at some numbers. And this is again reigniting the old debate whether Kuldeep and Chahal should be playing together in tandem regardless of the rest of the team or not. We just look at some of the numbers for India's spinners in ODI since 2018, and even Kedar Jadhav finds room in that. So too does Ravindra Jadeja. I'm curious about Ravindra Jadeja's role now, Hemang. He's obviously brought in as the replacement for Hardik Pandya. You know what value a left-arm spinner and a good batsman and all-rounder can have. But Jadeja just seems to do nothing great and finds himself out, and nothing great and finds himself in. That surely must be working on a player like Jadeja. I'm actually a fan of Jadeja, but I'm not quite sure the team has made clear to him what his role is. What do you think his role is?
Well, at this point in time, if you ask me, Jadeja can be in his own ways feel a little upset about the fact that he hasn't got enough games to play. But if you ask me, in all fairness, India will have to pick up just a couple of spinners. And for me, they will any day be a Kuldeep and a Chahal. Will India look for a third spinner to go to England? I'm not too sure. For the World Cup, I'm not too sure. He hasn't done much wrong, in all fairness. But it's just the fact that Kuldeep and Chahal have just bowled so beautifully, wherein you haven't had a need for a Jadeja. And also what happens with Hardik Pandya, he gives you the striking, he gives you the impetus with the bat right at the bottom. And hence, Jadeja keeps finding himself in and out most times. Again, nothing wrong. He hasn't done anything wrong, but I just feel that he probably will miss out.
I find the Indian bowling batting conundrum a little interesting, Hodge, because they're top 5 best bowlers. If you just had to play their best bowlers, those guys can hardly hold a bat. And we saw what that does in a 2020 game where MS Dhoni had to farm strike for 4 overs. Does that play into their calculations when they say, no, we can't have Kuldeep and Chahal, then Bumrah and Shami? So that's 4 or 5 guys that just can't hold a bat in case we bat first and need more batting firepower? Or are you one of those that say, just pick your 5 best bowlers, forget about their batting?
Oh, look, you'd like a 6th option. I think Kedar Jadhav provides that 6th option. You don't bank on him bowling 10 overs, but if he gets 10 overs out, he's done a good job. But if he can get 3 or 4 out, you can just go in with those sole 5 batters. But I think for me, you really need a number 7 that's a quality finisher. So, if you pick 5 guys that actually can't hold the bat, then it does, as a top order batter, you look down the list and you know that you can't push too hard, because if you lose too many wickets, you're vulnerable at the back end. So I think that's one of the things Dhoni will like, having Jadu behind him, that he's played with him so many times that he knows that he can get the job done as well. And he's actually been in dynamite form with the bat throughout the summer. The other thing is he probably saves 20 or 30 in the field alone.
Sure.
So that adds up as well over the course of 50 overs.
All right. Now, what about Australia and the questions that surround them? They're looking for some pieces of the puzzle to be figured out before the World Cup squad announcement. Now, Aaron Finch's form isn't helping matters. We know that they are looking for, waiting for David Warner's return. But the fact is, Hodge, it's a curious case of Aaron Finch's numbers as captain, which dropped to under 12 at an average. And he's a different player when he doesn't have the burden of captaincy, if I can call it that. Now, is he the kind, you've worked a lot with Aaron Finch, you know him well. Is he understanding that this is just a temporary assignment, or is he welcoming the fact, could he very well be Australia's World Cup captain going into it, and is that role best suited for him?
Well, it's certainly not going to be Warner or Smith. So I think that he's got some great leadership skills, Finchy. The problem is right now is that he can't escape this great Indian fast bowling unit, and he can't get past them. So, I mean, as a batsman, you know that if you've got someone that just keeps dismissing you, like Bumrah or Bhuvaneshwar Kumar in the past as well, in T20s, in IPL has done that, Mohammad Shami now, some spin. So for Aaron Finch, the Test series didn't work well. Didn't have a great one-day international series in Australia. Now he comes back again to face that same group of bowlers. I think it's just absolute torture for Aaron Finch at the moment. And he needs a break to go and play against someone else. I reckon that might help him. If it was a tri-series, it would have been better.
I remember at the Gujarat Lions, you chose to put Finch down. I don't know if that was only to just manage because you had so many openers. But would he entertain that thought, all this going on, let's just send Finchy at 4 or something and just figure someone else to handle Bumrah at the top of the order?
Yeah, I think he would. I think he would certainly think about it because he's such a great player of spin once he gets in. He's probably, along with Maxwell, he's probably the only person that can win a game in 5 to 10 overs. He can blast 50 or 60 in that period. And take the game away from the opposition. We had a couple of openers at the top, but Finch, he was happy. He was okay about it as well, given the fact that he knew that he'd faced Bumrah and he'd faced Bhuvaneshwar Kumar before, and they dismissed him a few times. So we also tried to hide him from that fact as well. And this might be a case where Justin might say to him, "Mate, move down the order and see what happens."
All right, final word, Hemang. I end where I began for you. What team changes would you specifically like to see? Would you like to see Rishabh Pant in and with an arrest for Dhoni? Would you like to see KL Rahul in to see if he can get the same third opener spot for himself while India figure out in this series?
Well, I've always believed that this series is just not about winning or losing. It's more about also figuring out your side for the World Cup. And we still haven't figured out a second keeper. So I would just say get Rishabh Pant to get a game. And yes, I would also say at the same time, if possible, give Dhoni a rest. He's been batting beautifully. He's your number one keeper for sure. And I don't think you need to test him out anymore. He's got enough cricket coming up with the IPL. So I guess you've seen him enough. He's batted well. He's in good form. Give him a break. Give the great man a break. Get Rishabh Pant to play a few games. Check him out whether he's good enough to play for the national side for the World Cup, for the ODI format. Has done well in the Test match format, but ODI is a different format. And at the same time, also give KL Rahul a go. He's come back well, done well in the T20 matches. He's got a 50 and a 40 odd. Again, India still hasn't figured out the third opener. So unless you have someone go in and bat at the opening slot, everyone knows it's going to be Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan being your top two openers. But we still haven't got a third opener ready. So keeping that in mind, I would say yes, get KL Rahul in, get Rishabh Pant in, maybe give Rohit Sharma a break, and also at the same time give Dhoni a break, a rest.
All right, you keep re-emphasizing that word rest, which we agree with. Thank you very much, Hemang Badani. Hodge, same question for you. Evidence of one game, would you make any changes? Not sure about the availability of Sean Marsh for this game just yet, but can Australia make any other changes for you?
Yeah, I don't think they can. I think they just need to stick with the same settled lineup and give opportunity to the guys that they've picked straight up. I think the one thing that all Australia is waiting for is the return of Smith and Warner back in their side. So it's hard to really find roles for the team right now until that happens. But I think that give this opportunity, give Finch a go, and give it an opportunity to try and make a statement in this fixture in Nagpur with the same side.
All right, many thanks, Brad Hodge, and thank you to Hemang Badani. That's the preview to the second game then. Let's see if India can double their lead or whether Australia can claw back and level the series when the two teams meet at Nagpur on Tuesday.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.